At 82, I've gained a lot of wisdom about life, but there is one decision I deeply regret: moving into a nursing home. At the time, it seemed like the right choice. My family encouraged it, assuring me I'd receive all the care and comfort I needed. I trusted them, but once I settled in, I realized the reality was far from what I had imagined. If you're considering this option for yourself or a loved one, perhaps believing it's the safest or most convenient choice, I urge you to pause and reflect. Before you take that step, let me share 6 things I wish someone had told me before I moved in. Life in a nursing home isn't just about convenience. It transforms everything. And once you're in, leaving isn't as simple as it seems. Stay with me until the end, because these lessons might surprise you. If you know someone contemplating a nursing home, this might be exactly what they need to hear before making a life-altering decision. Let's begin. Regret. 1. Losing my independence. The most jarring realization after moving into a nursing home wasn't the cramped room, the rigid meal schedules, or the unfamiliar faces. It was the sudden loss of control over my own life. Before moving in, I had my routines. I decided when to wake up, what to eat, and how to spend my days. I could take walks whenever I pleased, cook my own meals, or simply relax in my favorite chair with a book. But inside the nursing home, I quickly discovered that my time was no longer mine. Everything operated on a schedule that wasn't my own. Breakfast was served at a fixed time, even if I wasn't hungry. Lights were turned off at a specific hour, whether I was ready or not. If I wanted to take a walk outside, I often needed permission and had to wait for assistance. Simple decisions like what to eat or wear began to feel like privileges rather than basic rights. I vividly remember my first week there, waking up in a bed that didn't feel like mine. I reached for the book I'd been reading at home, only to look around and realize this wasn't my home. My books, my favorite chair, the little comforts I'd spent years collecting, they were gone. In their place were sterile walls, a bed I hadn't chosen, and an overwhelming sense that I was no longer in charge of my own life. The hardest part? Understanding that once you surrender your independence, reclaiming it is nearly impossible. You adapt because you must. You stop questioning the meal choices. You stop asking if you can go for a walk whenever you want. You learn to fit into their system, but in the process, you begin to lose yourself. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready to give up the small freedoms that make life yours? Because once they're gone, you'll miss them more than you ever imagined. Regret. 2. Feeling forgotten. One of the most painful truths about moving into a nursing home is realizing that life outside continues without you. When I first arrived, my family promised they'd visit often. I believed them, and initially they did. My daughter came by weekly, my grandchildren visited on weekends, and for a while it felt like I still had a connection to my old life. But as months passed, the visits grew less frequent. My daughter started calling instead of visiting. My grandchildren became busy with school and work. Holidays were particularly hard. Everyone promised to visit, but plans often changed last minute. Before long, I found myself sitting alone in a common room, watching other residents stare at the door, hoping someone would remember them. It wasn't that my family stopped loving me. Life simply got in the way. When you're not part of their daily lives, it's easy for them to assume you're fine, that you've adjusted, that you don't need as much attention. But the truth is, the longer you're in a nursing home, the easier it becomes for people to forget how much you still need them. I remember one evening, sitting in my room, holding my phone, debating whether to call my son. I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want to remind him that I was here, waiting for a visit that might never come. So I put the phone down, and in that moment, it hit me. This was my life now, watching the days pass, hoping someone would remember to include me. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared for the loneliness? Because no matter how much your family loves you, once you're out of sight, it's easier than you think to become out of mind. Regret. 3. Losing my sense of purpose. When I moved into the nursing home, I thought I was simply changing where I lived. I didn't realize I was also changing why I lived. At home, I had responsibilities. I had routines, hobbies, and reasons to get up each morning. Even small tasks, watering the plants, making my own coffee, tidying up, gave me a sense of purpose. But in the nursing home, those daily rituals vanished. Meals were prepared for me. Cleaning was handled by staff. The plants, they weren't mine to care for anymore. At first I told myself it would be nice to finally relax. No more chores, no more responsibilities, just rest. But after a few weeks, I realized something was missing. The days felt endless, filled with nothing but waiting. I saw the same emptiness in other residents. People who had once been vibrant now spent their days sitting, staring, waiting for time to pass. There was a man named George, 84, who had been a carpenter his entire life. At home, he was always building or fixing something in his garage. But here, there were no tools, no projects, nothing for him to create. I watched as he slowly withdrew, his once strong hands now idle in his lap. "I feel useless," he told me one day, and I understood exactly what he meant. When you no longer have something to care for, something to work toward, life begins to lose its meaning. The mind slows, the body follows, and soon you feel like just another resident in a place where time moves, but nothing changes. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, what gives your life meaning? Because once you move in, finding purpose isn't as simple as filling your time. It's about fighting to hold on to what makes you feel alive. Regret. 4. Declining health. Faster than expected. Before moving into a nursing home, I was doing well for my age. I wasn't running marathons, but I could still take care of myself. Cook, clean, and go for walks. I had routines that kept me active. Grocery shopping, morning stretches, even just walking around the house to keep my legs strong. But once I moved in, everything changed. At first, it seemed like I was simply taking it easy. Meals were brought to me, and I no longer had to cook. If I needed something, I could press a button and someone would assist me. But what I didn't realize was that the less I did for myself, the weaker I became. I stopped moving as much, and soon my legs felt stiff. Sitting became the norm, and before I knew it, getting up from a chair felt like a chore. The muscles I'd spent years maintaining began to fade faster than I ever expected. And it wasn't just me. I saw it happen to others too. People who had walked in independently were suddenly relying on wheelchairs. Those who had once been self-sufficient now needed help with tasks they'd never struggled with before. The more assistance we received, the more we seemed to need. I remember my neighbor Alice, an 81-year-old woman who had been lively when she first arrived. She used to take daily walks around the facility, insisting she wouldn't slow down just because of her age. But after a few months, I noticed she wasn't walking as much. Then she started using a walker, then a wheelchair. One day, she looked at me and said, "I don't know when it happened, but I feel like I aged 10 years in just a few months." And that's exactly how it felt. When you stop using your body, you start losing it. In a nursing home where everything is designed to make life easier, it's easy to forget that movement isn't just about convenience. It's about survival. If I had known how quickly I'd lose my strength, I would have fought harder to stay active, to keep moving, even when I didn't feel like it. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, will you still have the motivation to keep your body strong when everything is set up to make life effortless? Because once you slow down, getting back up isn't as easy as you think. Regret. 5. The loss of privacy and dignity. One thing I didn't fully consider before moving into a nursing home was how much privacy I'd lose. At home, I had my own space. I could close my door, sit in silence, and do things on my own terms. But in a nursing home, privacy is a luxury you rarely get. From the moment I arrived, I felt constantly watched. Staff came in and out, room checks were scheduled, and shared spaces meant I was rarely alone. Even simple tasks, like getting dressed or using the bathroom, often required assistance. I know they were just doing their job, but it's hard to accept help for things you've done independently your entire life. I remember my first week struggling with the idea that I needed permission for things I once did without thinking. Want a shower? You might have to wait for assistance. Need to use the restroom? Pressing the call button could mean a long wait. Even meal choices were limited. If you didn't like what was served, tough luck. And then there were roommates. Not everyone gets a private room, and sharing space with someone you didn't choose can be challenging. I was fortunate to have a kind roommate, but others weren't as lucky. Some had roommates who were loud, messy, or had cognitive issues that made sleep nearly impossible. No matter how much you try to make your room feel like home, it never truly is. Dignity is hard to lose, and I didn't realize how much of mine I'd surrender until I was already there. When people knock but don't wait for an answer, when you're spoken to like a patient instead of a person, when your daily routines are dictated by someone else's schedule, it changes you. You start feeling less like yourself and more like just another name on a list. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared to give up the privacy and control you've had your entire life? Because once it's gone, it's hard to reclaim. Regret. 6. Realizing it's harder to leave than you think. When I first moved into the nursing home, I told myself it was temporary. I thought I'd try it out and leave if I didn't like it. But what I didn't realize was how difficult it would be to leave once I was in. At first, it seemed simple. If I didn't like it, I'd go back home. But home wasn't the same anymore. My house sat empty, and maintaining it from a distance became challenging. My children had already started making changes, selling things, considering renting it out. When I mentioned returning, they hesitated. Are you sure you can manage on your own? Wouldn't it be safer to stay? We just want what's best for you. And then there was the physical decline. After months of living in a place where I didn't have to cook, clean or walk much, I wasn't as strong as I used to be. The independence I once had began to slip away, making the idea of moving back home more daunting than I'd imagined. I wasn't as confident in my ability to live alone, and that fear kept me stuck. I met others who had the same experience. They thought they'd tried a nursing home temporarily, only to realize leaving wasn't as easy as they thought. The longer you stay, the harder it becomes to adjust to life outside. Some people even lost the option entirely. Once their home was sold or their savings were drained by the cost of care, there was no going back. That's the part no one tells you. Moving in feels like a reversible decision, but for most, it isn't. The nursing home slowly becomes your entire world, and before you know it, the life you once knew feels like a distant memory. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared for the possibility that once you're in, leaving might not be as simple as you think? Because once you settle in, the barriers to leaving, financial, physical, or emotional, can be harder to overcome than you expect. Final thoughts. Looking back, I don't regret growing older, but I do regret believing a nursing home was my only option. I walked in expecting comfort, safety, and a better quality of life. What I found instead was a world that gradually stripped away my independence, privacy, purpose, and sense of self. Does this mean nursing homes are all bad? Not necessarily. Some people genuinely need the level of care they provide. But before you make that decision, think carefully about what you're giving up. Because once you move in, life will never be the same. If I could do it over, I would have fought harder to stay in my own home, explored more ways to get help without sacrificing my freedom, and ensured I truly needed to be there before making such a permanent move. If you're facing this decision, I hope you take the time to ask yourself, is this truly what's best for me? Or is it just what seems easiest right now? Because the life you have today, your routines, your independence, your choices, is worth holding on to for as long as you can. Thank you for joining me today. If you found these insights valuable, please share them with someone who might need to hear this. Your support helps spread important messages like this one. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Has someone you love started showing subtle but concerted changes over the past year? Many people assume that death and old age happen suddenly, but the truth is that the body often sends quiet warnings months, sometimes even a year, before life reaches its final stage. The problem is that most people miss these signs because they seem small at first. It's only later, looking back, that families realize the clues were there all along, but by then it's too late to prepare, too late to make those last memories count. In this video, we're going to discuss 5 key signs that often appear a year before an elderly person passes away. Some of these signs might be things you've noticed, but brushed off as just part of aging. Others might seem minor, but actually signal the body's gradual decline. Recognizing these signs early gives you the opportunity to provide better care, cherish meaningful moments, and, most importantly, ensure that your loved one's final stage of life is filled with comfort, dignity, and peace. Stay with us until the end, because these 5 signs can help you prepare emotionally and practically for what's ahead. When you understand what's happening, you won't be caught off guard. You'll be able to make the most of the time you have left with those you love. Now, let's get started. Number 1. Significant weight loss. One of the earliest and most telling signs that a person may be approaching the final year of their life is unintentional weight loss. At first, it might seem subtle. A belt that suddenly needs tightening, clothes that appear looser, or a once hearty appetite that begins to fade. Many families dismiss it as just part of getting older. But the truth is that losing weight without trying is rarely a good sign. It often indicates that the body is no longer absorbing nutrients efficiently, muscle mass is decreasing, and essential systems are slowing down. Aging naturally leads to some loss of muscle, but when it happens too quickly, it's a sign that something deeper is occurring. The body may be struggling to digest food properly, or the person may no longer be able to process protein effectively, leading to muscle wasting. This loss of strength doesn't just make movement more difficult. It increases the risk of falls, weakens the immune system, and leaves the person vulnerable to infections. Another reason for weight loss in the final year of life is appetite changes. Many elderly individuals simply don't feel hungry the way they used to. Their sense of taste fades. Food no longer seems enjoyable, and they might start skipping meals or eating much smaller portions. This isn't just a matter of preference. It's a physiological change. The body, sensing that it's beginning to shut down, no longer signals the brain to seek food as often. The result? Less energy, less strength, and a gradual decline in overall health. And then there's the role of underlying medical conditions. Weight loss is a common symptom of chronic diseases like cancer, heart failure, or kidney disease, all of which can begin progressing long before more obvious symptoms appear. Even conditions like depression or cognitive decline can lead to reduced eating, causing a downward spiral where the body isn't receiving enough fuel to sustain itself. Some families try to solve the problem by encouraging their loved ones to eat more, offering favorite foods, or supplementing meals with protein drinks. But if the weight continues to drop despite these efforts, it's important to recognize that the issue is not just diet. It's the body preparing for a deeper transition. At this stage, forcing large meals may not help. Instead, focusing on comfort, easy-to-eat foods, and hydration can make a bigger difference in maintaining quality of life. If you notice significant weight loss in an elderly loved one, especially if they're eating less, feeling weaker, or struggling to stay active, it's time to pay attention. This is not just about physical appearance, it's about the body sending a message, and understanding that message now can help you prepare for the road ahead with clarity, compassion, and the ability to make every remaining moment meaningful. Number 2, extreme fatigue and weakness. One of the most noticeable changes in the year leading up to the end of life is a deep, persistent fatigue that doesn't go away with rest. It's not just feeling little tired after a long day. It's a profound exhaustion that makes even simple tasks feel overwhelming. Getting out of bed becomes a challenge. Walking across the room requires effort, and activities that once felt routine, like cooking, dressing, or even holding a conversation, start to feel too draining. This isn't just a result of aging. It's a sign that the body is conserving its remaining energy. As organ function begins to slow, the body starts prioritizing what's most essential. The heart doesn't pump as efficiently, circulation weakens, and muscles don't get the same level of oxygen they once did. This is why many elderly individuals in their final months feel weak, unsteady, and unable to sustain the same level of activity they once enjoyed. Another key factor is metabolic slowdown. The body is designed to produce and use energy, but as it prepares for its final phase, that energy is redirected. Instead of fueling movement, the body shifts toward preservation. This is why someone in decline may start sleeping more, needing longer naps during the day, and finding it harder to stay awake for long periods. Some may even experience sudden drops in energy, where they seem fine one moment, but completely drained the next. But perhaps the most heartbreaking part of this process is the emotional impact of fatigue. Many seniors who once took pride in their independence begin feeling frustrated or even embarrassed that they can't do what they used to. They may withdraw from conversations, avoid social interactions, or stop engaging in hobbies, not because they don't care, but because they simply don't have the energy. This can lead to a cycle of isolation, where they stop trying altogether, which only accelerates the decline. For families, watching a loved one go from active and engaged to exhausted and withdrawn can be painful. It's easy to assume they're just being lazy or that they need to push through it, but the reality is that forcing activity won't help. What matters most is understanding their limits, allowing them to rest when needed, and making their remaining days as comfortable as possible. If you notice a loved one experiencing deep, ongoing fatigue that isn't relieved by rest, take it as a sign that their body is going through a major transition. This is the time to cherish conversations, create moments of peace, and support them without expectations. Because in the end, what matters most isn't how much they can do. It's that they feel loved, understood, and at ease. Number 3, increased cognitive confusion or withdrawal. As a person approaches the final stage of life, one of the most striking changes can be seen in how they think, communicate, and interact with others. You may notice that someone who was once sharp and engaged starts to forget things more often, struggle to follow conversations, or seem disoriented in familiar places. They may repeat themselves, forget names, or lose track of time, even when they never had memory issues before. These subtle cognitive changes can happen months or even a full year before death. This isn't just everyday forgetfulness. The brain, like any other organ, requires a steady flow of oxygen and nutrients to function properly. But as circulation weakens and oxygen supply to the brain decreases, cognitive function starts to decline. The person may become easily confused, have difficulty making decisions, or struggle to recognize people and places they've known for years. In some cases, they may even have brief moments of lucidity, followed by sudden episodes of confusion, almost as if their mind is fading in and out. Another common sign is emotional withdrawal. Someone nearing the end of life often loses interest in social interactions. You might notice them speaking less, engaging less, or spending long periods simply sitting in silence. It's not that they don't care about their loved ones. It's that their brain no longer processes emotions and engagement the same way. Conversations become tiring, loud environments feel overwhelming, and eventually, many seniors retreat into their own world. You may also notice changes in mood and behavior. Some individuals become more irritable, anxious, or easily frustrated. Others seem unusually calm, detached, or indifferent to things that once mattered to them. This isn't just a personality shift. It's often a result of the brain adjusting to the body's decline. As cognitive function slows, emotions become harder to express, and the person may stop reacting to situations in the way they used to. For family members, this stage can be especially difficult. Watching a loved one lose touch with reality or pull away emotionally can feel like losing them before they're actually gone. But it's important to remember this isn't something they can control. Instead of trying to bring them back into conversations, the best thing you can do is meet them where they are. Speak gently, offer reassurance, and understand that even if they don't always respond, they can still feel your presence. If a loved one is becoming more forgetful, more confused, or less engaged, don't ignore it. These are often early signs that the body and mind are preparing for the final transition. This is a time to be patient, cherish quiet moments, and focus on creating an environment that feels safe, familiar, and peaceful. Because even when words fade, love and comfort can still be felt. Number 4. Frequent infections and slow healing. As the body begins to wind down, one of the clearest physical signs is a weakened immune system. You might notice that someone who rarely got sick before now seems to catch every cold, every flu, every small infection that goes around. What used to be minor illnesses now take much longer to recover from, and simple wounds, like a small cut or bruise, heal at a noticeably slower rate. These changes aren't random. They're signs that the body is no longer able to defend and repair itself the way it once did. One of the biggest concerns is repeated infections. Pneumonia, urinary tract infections, UTIs, skin infections, and even oral infections become more common as the immune system weakens. Many families assume these are just isolated illnesses, but when they start happening frequently or take a long time to clear up, it's often a sign that the body is losing its ability to fight back. Even antibiotics, which once worked quickly, may seem less effective. The person may need stronger medications, longer recovery periods, or multiple rounds of treatment for infections that once would have been minor. This happens because, as circulation slows and organ function declines, the body simply doesn't respond to treatment as well. Another overlooked issue is chronic wounds. If you notice that small scratches, sores, or bruises aren't healing properly or keep reopening, it could mean that circulation is compromised. Poor blood flow means that oxygen and nutrients aren't reaching the skin and tissues efficiently, making healing much slower than usual. Pressure sores, especially for those who are less mobile, become a serious risk and can lead to dangerous infections if not carefully managed. What's even more concerning is that infections in the final year of life often don't look the way we expect. Instead of a high fever, an elderly person may simply seem more tired than usual, more confused, or less interested in eating. In fact, for seniors, a sudden decline in mental alertness is often the first warning sign of an infection, even before other symptoms appear. This is why recognizing these changes early can make a difference in how much comfort and support they receive in their final stage of life. For families, watching a loved one go through repeated infections can be frustrating and heartbreaking. It's tempting to push for aggressive treatments, hoping that one more round of antibiotics or one more hospital stay will fix the problem. But at a certain point, the focus often shifts from curing to comforting. Making sure they stay hydrated, keeping their skin clean and moisturized, and minimizing stress on the body can do more for their well-being than another round of medication that only prolongs suffering. Number 5. Major changes in breathing or circulation. One of the most telling signs that the body is preparing for its final stage is a noticeable change in breathing patterns and circulation. You may notice that your loved one breathes more slowly or shallowly than before. At times, they might pause between breaths, or their breathing might become irregular, speeding up and then slowing down unexpectedly. Some people experience a gentle, rhythmic breathing pattern called Cheney-Stokes respiration, where breathing alternates between deep, rapid breaths and long pauses. These changes can start subtly, but over time they become more pronounced and more frequent. Another common sign is weakened circulation. You may notice that their hands, feet, or even their nose and ears start feeling cold to the touch. The skin may appear pale, bluish, or mottled, especially around the fingers and toes. This happens because the body is prioritizing blood flow to vital organs, reducing circulation to the extremities. It's a clear indication that the heart is not pumping as strongly as before. Some people also experience more shortness of breath, even with minimal movement. Simply sitting up, speaking, or shifting positions might cause them to feel winded or out of breath. You may notice them breathing through their mouth more often, or they may suddenly need to stop and catch their breath while talking. If they were once able to walk across the room easily, but now struggle to do so, their lung function may be declining. In some cases, fluid buildup in the lungs can make breathing more difficult. This can cause a persistent cough, gurgling sounds, or even a feeling of tightness in the chest. Many people assume it's just congestion from a cold, but in elderly individuals nearing the end of life, it's often a sign that the lungs are weakening. This can make lying flat uncomfortable, and they may prefer to sleep propped up on pillows or in a recliner to ease their breathing. For family members, seeing these changes can be frightening. It's natural to want to help, to encourage them to take deeper breaths, or to worry that something urgent is happening. But in many cases, this is simply the body's natural way of slowing down. There may not always be a way to reverse these changes, but there are ways to make them more comfortable. Keeping the room cool, using a humidifier, or offering small sips of water can help ease discomfort. In some cases, medications or oxygen therapy can provide relief, but the focus shifts toward comfort rather than trying to fix the issue. If you notice these signs, changes in breathing, cold hands and feet, or a bluish tint to the skin, pay attention. These are often indicators that the body is conserving energy and that circulation is slowing down. It's a time to be present, offer reassurance, and create a peaceful environment where they feel safe and at ease. In these final months or weeks, the most important thing you can give them isn't medical intervention. It's comfort, dignity, and the knowledge that they are not alone. Final thoughts. As we come to the end of this video, take a moment to reflect on what we've discussed. Significant weight loss, extreme fatigue, cognitive decline, frequent infections, and major changes in breathing and circulation. These 5 signs often appear in a year leading up to an elderly person's passing. They may not all happen at once, and they may not always be obvious at first, but when you start noticing them, It's a sign that the body is preparing for its final transition. For many families, these changes can be difficult to accept. It's natural to want to fight against them, to encourage a loved one to eat more, move more, or push through exhaustion. But sometimes, the best thing we can do is listen to what their body is telling us. Instead of focusing on trying to reverse the inevitable, we can focus on making their remaining time as peaceful, comfortable, and meaningful as possible. Understanding these signs isn't about fearing death. It's about being prepared for it. When you recognize these changes early, you can offer better care, make important decisions ahead of time, and ensure that your loved one's final months are filled with love and dignity. This is a time for cherishing moments, sharing stories, and letting them know they are valued and not alone. If you're noticing these signs in someone close to you, take a deep breath and remember, you are not alone in this journey. Many families have walked this path before, and while it is never easy, knowing what to expect can help you find strength, patience, and peace. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video. This rewritten version expands on the original text while maintaining its core message and structure. It provides additional details and explanations to reach the desired length. Let me know if you need further adjustments. Do you want to know how much time you have left after 70? Every year becomes more valuable, and the truth is, your body is already giving you signals about how long you might live. Some people at 70 feel strong, energetic, and full of life, while others start slowing down, facing health issues and fatigue. The difference often lies in a few key signs, subtle but powerful indicators that can give you insight into your future. In this video, we will talk about 7 signs that can reveal how long you might live after 70. These are not guesses or myths, but real patterns that researchers and doctors have observed in people who have lived long and healthy lives. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what to pay attention to in your body and lifestyle, and more importantly, what you can do to increase your chances of a long and healthy life. Stay with us until the end, because you might be overlooking small things that could have a huge impact on your future. Once you recognize these signs, you'll have a clear understanding of your current condition and what changes you need to make to add years to your life. Let's get started. Sign number 1. Walking speed. One of the strongest indicators of how long you might live after 70 isn't hidden in your DNA, medical records, or even your diet. It's something much simpler, your walking speed. Studies have shown that people who maintain a steady and brisk walking pace at 70 and beyond tend to live longer than those who slow down significantly. That's because walking speed is directly linked to overall health, muscle strength, cardiovascular function, and even brain health. For example, imagine 2 people, Joe and Frank, both 75 years old. Joe walks every morning, maintains a steady pace, and has no trouble crossing the street or climbing stairs. His movements are smooth, balanced, and confident. Frank, on the other hand, used to be active but has slowed down significantly in recent years. He struggles to keep up with others, often takes breaks, and sometimes feels unsteady on his feet. While Joe's pace suggests that his body is still functioning well, Frank's decline in speed could be a warning sign of deteriorating health. A slow and unsteady gait isn't just a sign of aging. It can indicate issues like muscle weakness, poor circulation, or even early neurological conditions. The good news? Walking speed can be improved. The more you walk, the stronger you become. If you've noticed yourself slowing down, don't ignore it. Start with small efforts to build your strength, whether it's regular walks, lightweight training, or simple leg exercises. In the end, how fast you move through life can quite literally say a lot about how long you'll keep moving at all. So pay attention to your pace. It might be the simplest way to check in on your longevity. Sign 2. Grip strength. Believe it or not, the strength of your handshake can reveal more about your future than you might think. Research has shown that grip strength is one of the most reliable indicators of overall vitality in older adults. A firm and steady grip reflects strong muscles, good circulation, and a healthy nervous system. On the other hand, a weak or declining grip can be an early warning sign of muscle loss, frailty, and even an increased risk of health complications. For example, imagine two men, Robert and Walter, both 78 years old. Robert has always prided himself on his strong handshake. He stays active, does lightweight training, and never struggles to open jars or carry groceries. Walter, however, has started noticing that simple tasks like twisting a bottle cap or holding a heavy bag have become harder. He attributes it to aging, but doesn't realize that his declining grip strength signals muscle loss, which can make him more prone to falls, injuries, and even a shorter lifespan. Your hands reflect your overall muscle condition. If your grip is weakening, chances are the rest of your body is too. The more strength you lose, the harder it becomes to remain independent, active, and stable. The good news? You can regain strength. Simple exercises like squeezing a tennis ball, using hand grippers, or carrying light weights can help maintain grip strength and keep muscles toned. So, test your grip. If your handshake has weakened or daily tasks feel more difficult, don't ignore it. The way you hold on to things today may reveal how well you'll hold on to life in the future. Sign 3. Ability to stand on one leg balance is something most people don't think about until they start losing it. But your ability to stand on one leg for at least 10 seconds is one of the strongest predictors of how long you'll live. Researchers have found that people who struggle with balance are more likely to experience falls, injuries, and even cognitive decline. In contrast, those who maintain good balance at age 70 and beyond tend to live longer and healthier lives. For example, imagine two women, Carol and Nancy, both in their early 70s. Carol has always been active. She walks daily, practices yoga, and can easily lift one foot for a few seconds without losing balance. Nancy, on the other hand, hasn't paid much attention to her balance. When she tries to stand on one leg, she wobbles immediately and needs to grab onto something to avoid falling. Nancy doesn't realize that losing balance is more than just an inconvenience. It's a warning sign that her coordination, muscle strength, and even brain function might be deteriorating. Good balance relies on strong legs, a healthy nervous system, and an engaged brain. If you notice yourself tripping more often, feeling unsteady when turning quickly, or needing to hold onto walls or furniture for support, it's time to take action. The good news: balance can be improved. Simple exercises like standing on one leg for a few seconds a day, walking on your heels, or practicing Tai Chi can help restore stability. Try it now. Stand up and lift one foot. Can you hold it for 10 seconds effortlessly? If not, don't panic, but don't ignore it either. The more you work on your balance today, the stronger and steadier you'll be in the future. Sign 4. Sleep quality. How well you sleep at night says a lot about how long you may live. Sleep isn't just about rest. It's when your body repairs itself, strengthens the immune system, and clears toxins from the brain. Studies show that people over 70 who maintain a stable and high-quality sleep routine tend to live longer and healthier lives, whereas those with poor sleep face higher risks of memory decline, heart disease, and weakened immunity. For example, imagine two men, Henry and Bill, both in their 70s. Henry sticks to a regular sleep schedule, gets about 7 hours of rest each night, and wakes up feeling refreshed. Bill, on the other hand, struggles with restless nights. He tosses and turns, wakes up multiple times, and sometimes can't fall asleep at all. Over time, Henry's body continues to function well, his mind stays sharp, and his energy levels remain stable. But Bill begins experiencing brain fog, daytime fatigue, and even blood pressure fluctuations, all linked to declining sleep quality. If you frequently wake up at night, have trouble falling asleep, or feel exhausted even after several hours in bed, don't ignore it. Your body is trying to tell you something. Poor sleep can be caused by stress, poor diet, lack of physical activity, or even undiagnosed conditions like sleep apnea. The good news? Sleep quality can be improved. Simple changes, such as reducing screen time before bed, sticking to a routine, getting morning sunlight, or avoiding heavy meals at night, can make a huge difference. Sleep isn't just rest. It's your body's way of staying in top shape. So tonight, pay attention to how well you sleep. If you wake up tired, struggle to fall asleep, or notice changes in your sleep patterns over the years, it's time to make adjustments. After all, how well you rest today could determine how strong and healthy you stay in the future. Sign 5. Appetite and eating habits. How you eat after 70 is one of the strongest indicators of how long you may live. A healthy appetite and balanced diet keep your body strong, your immune system resilient, and your energy levels high. On the other hand, sudden loss of appetite or poor eating habits can signal health problems and even accelerate aging. For example, imagine two women, Margaret and Susan, both 74. Margaret enjoys her meals, eats a variety of fresh foods, and maintains a stable weight. She loves cooking and feels energetic throughout the day. Susan, however, has noticed that she's not as hungry as she used to be. She skips meals, relies on processed foods, and has unintentionally lost weight over the past year. She doesn't realize that losing appetite isn't just a minor change. It's a red flag that her body may not be absorbing nutrients properly, which can weaken muscles, slow metabolism, and even impact her immune system. Loss of appetite in older adults is often linked to health issues like digestive problems, hormonal changes, or even early signs of cognitive decline. And when you don't eat enough, your body starts breaking down muscle, leading to weakness, frailty, and increased risk of falls and illness. If you notice changes in your eating habits, whether it's feeling full too quickly, lacking interest in food, or experiencing unexpected weight loss, it's important to take action. Eating after 70 isn't just about staying full. It's about giving your body the nutrients it needs to function properly. Focus on whole, nutritious foods, drink plenty of water, and don't ignore a declining appetite. It may be your body's way of signaling that something needs attention. Losing a spouse is one of the most heartbreaking experiences anyone can face. It's not just the deep emotional pain. It's the overwhelming number of decisions that suddenly rest on your shoulders. In moments like these, it's easy to make choices driven by grief, loneliness, or pressure from others. However, some decisions can lead to unnecessary regrets, financial struggles, or emotional setbacks that make the healing process even harder. The truth is, while grief is deeply personal, there are certain things you should always think twice about before agreeing to. In this video, we'll go over 5 things you should say no to after losing a spouse, common mistakes that many people make, only to later realize they weren't truly ready. These pitfalls can make an already painful time even more complicated, but by being aware of them, you can safeguard your emotional, financial, and physical well-being. Stay with me until the end, because this isn't just about avoiding mistakes. It's about ensuring you move forward with clarity, strength, and the support you need. Now let's dive in. Number 1, avoid making big financial decisions too soon. One of the most common mistakes people make after losing a spouse is rushing into major financial decisions. Suddenly, you're faced with managing bank accounts, insurance policies, investments, and possibly even deciding whether to keep or sell your home. In the midst of grief, it can feel like taking immediate action will bring stability or a sense of control. But the truth is, grief clouds judgment, and making irreversible financial choices too soon can lead to regret later on. Decisions that seem logical in the moment might not be the best for the long term. Many widows and widowers feel pressured, whether by well-meaning friends, financial advisors, or even their own sense of urgency, to sell their home, move to a new location, or make significant investments. But the months following a loss should be a time of emotional adjustment, not financial risk-taking. The wisest thing you can do is pause. Give yourself time to process your loss before making choices that could impact the rest of your life. Take the case of Margaret, a 74-year-old widow. After losing her husband, she was advised by multiple people to downsize her home immediately. On the surface, it seemed like a smart decision. Less maintenance, lower expenses, and a fresh start. So, within a few months, she sold the house she and her husband had lived in for 40 years and moved to a smaller apartment in a different town. But once the initial shock of grief subsided, she realized she had made a decision out of panic. She deeply missed her familiar surroundings, her neighbors, and the comfort of her longtime home. Looking back, she wished she had given herself more time before making such a major change. Financial decisions don't just involve real estate. Newly widowed individuals are often targeted by financial predators. People who see vulnerability as an opportunity, whether it's high-pressure sales tactics, unsolicited investment opportunities, or even well-meaning but uninformed advice from friends, it's essential to be cautious. If someone is urging you to sign papers, make a large withdrawal, or invest in something quickly, take a step back. The best financial decisions are rarely made in a rush. Another common mistake is giving away money or assets too quickly. Grief often creates a strong desire to help loved ones, children, grandchildren, charities, or close friends. While generosity is admirable, making large financial gifts or dividing assets prematurely can put you in a difficult position later on. What seems manageable now might not be sustainable in the years ahead. Before making any major financial moves, consult a trusted professional who can help you plan for your long-term needs. The first year after losing a spouse should be about stability, not drastic financial changes. Experts often recommend a one-year rule, which suggests waiting at least a year before making any irreversible financial decisions. This allows time for the initial emotional shock to pass and for you to gain clarity on what's truly best for your future. Losing a spouse is already one of life's most challenging transitions. The last thing you need is added stress from financial mistakes that could have been avoided. Take your time, seek trusted advice, and remember, there's no rush. The best decisions come from a place of clarity, not grief. Number 2, avoid isolating yourself from friends and family. After losing a spouse, it's natural to seek solitude. Grief is deeply personal, and sometimes being alone feels like the only way to process the pain. While taking time for yourself is important, completely shutting out friends and family can lead to an even deeper sense of loneliness, one that makes healing even harder. Many people withdraw, telling themselves they just need more time. But the truth is, isolation can quickly become a habit that's difficult to break. Human connection is essential for emotional well-being, especially in times of loss. When people distance themselves for too long, they often experience heightened sadness, anxiety, and even physical health decline. Studies have shown that prolonged social isolation can weaken the immune system, increase blood pressure, and even shorten lifespan. On the other hand, staying connected, even in small ways, can help lighten the emotional burden and provide much-needed support. Consider the story of Walter, a 78-year-old widower. After losing his wife of 52 years, he stopped answering phone calls, skipped family gatherings, and rarely left the house. He told himself that talking to others wouldn't help, that no one could truly understand his grief, and that being alone was simply easier. But as months passed, instead of feeling better, he felt worse. His days blurred together, his energy faded, and even his appetite changed. It wasn't until a neighbor insisted he come over for coffee that something shifted. That one conversation turned into a weekly routine, then gradually expanded to occasional outings with friends. The more he engaged with others, the lighter he felt, not because his pain disappeared, but because he realized he didn't have to carry it alone. The goal isn't to force yourself into large social situations before you're ready. It's about taking small steps to stay connected. Whether it's answering a phone call, taking a short walk with a friend, or joining a support group, these little actions can help prevent deep loneliness. If you don't feel like talking, that's okay. Simply being around others, listening to a conversation or sharing space can remind you that you're not alone and that support is available when you need it. Another common mistake is pushing away the people who care the most. Grief can bring irritability, exhaustion, or the feeling that no one truly understands what you're going through, but completely shutting others out can create unnecessary distance between you and those who genuinely want to help. Your loved ones may not always have the right words, but their presence alone can bring comfort. Letting them in, even just little, can make a difference. It's also helpful to seek support from those who have experienced a similar loss. Connecting with others, whether through a grief support group, a community gathering, or even an online forum, can be incredibly healing. Speaking with people who truly understand what you're going through can validate your emotions and reassure you that you're not alone. Grief doesn't follow a set timeline, and there's no right way to heal. But staying completely isolated only makes the journey harder. Finding small ways to reconnect with others at your own pace can provide strength, support, and even moments of unexpected joy. Remember, you don't have to carry this loss by yourself. There are people who care, who want to be there for you, and who can help you move forward, one step at a time. Number 3, don't neglect your own health and well-being. After losing a spouse, many people become so overwhelmed by grief that they stop taking care of themselves. It's easy to skip meals, delay doctor's appointments, or let daily routines slip when you're navigating such a profound loss. Some even feel guilty about prioritizing their health, as if focusing on their own well-being somehow diminishes their love or grief. But the truth is, neglecting your health doesn't bring you closer to the one you lost. It only makes your journey forward more difficult. Grief takes a toll on the body in ways many people don't realize. Studies show that losing a spouse increases the risk of heart problems, weakens the immune system, and can even contribute to cognitive decline. The stress of grief can lead to high blood pressure, poor sleep, and changes in appetite. Some people lose interest in eating, while others turn to unhealthy comfort foods. Over time, these changes can seriously impact both physical and mental health. The goal isn't to feel normal overnight, but to make small choices that keep your body strong as you navigate this challenging time. Consider James, an 81-year-old widower. After his wife passed, he stopped cooking for himself, telling himself he simply wasn't hungry. When he did eat, it was mostly processed, convenience foods. Within a few months, he felt weaker, had trouble sleeping, and was constantly fatigued. His daughter noticed the change and encouraged him to eat regular meals again, even if he didn't feel like it. Once he started making small adjustments, like preparing simple, nutritious foods and staying hydrated, his energy improved, his mood stabilized, and he felt better equipped to cope with his grief. Self-care isn't just about nutrition. It also includes movement, rest, and emotional well-being. Many widows and widowers stop exercising, not because they don't want to stay active, but because they no longer have their partner to do it with. However, staying physically active, even in small ways like taking a daily walk, has been shown to reduce stress, improve mood, and even promote longevity. Joining a local walking group or fitness class can provide both physical benefits and social connection, which is essential during this time. Another common mistake is neglecting medical checkups. Many widowed individuals delay doctor's visits, either because they feel overwhelmed or because they simply don't prioritize their own health. But now, more than ever, taking care of your health is critical. If you haven't been to the doctor in a while, schedule an appointment. Staying on top of routine checkups, managing existing conditions, and keeping up with medications can have a profound impact on your well-being, both physically and emotionally. Mental health is just as important as physical health. Grief can lead to depression, anxiety, and feelings of hopelessness, especially if combined with isolation. If you're struggling, don't hesitate to reach out for help. Speaking with a counselor, joining a grief support group, or even confiding in a trusted friend can provide comfort and reassurance. You don't have to navigate this alone, and seeking support isn't a sign of weakness. It's a step toward healing. Your spouse would have wanted you to take care of yourself. Honoring their memory doesn't mean neglecting your well-being. It means continuing to live in a way that allows you to find moments of peace and strength. It's okay to grieve, to take your time, and to feel the weight of loss. But in the midst of it all, remember, your health matters. You are still here, and your well-being is worth protecting. Number 4, don't rush into a new relationship. Losing a spouse creates an emotional void that can feel overwhelming. For many, the loneliness that follows is one of the hardest parts of grief, and the thought of finding companionship again may seem like the only way to cope. While there is nothing wrong with wanting connection, one of the most common mistakes widows and widowers make is jumping into a new relationship before fully processing their grief. The emotions of loss can create a deep need for comfort, but making major romantic decisions too soon can lead to confusion, heartache, and regret. Grief doesn't follow a set timeline. Everyone heals at their own pace. Some take years before even considering dating again, while others feel ready sooner. But when emotions are raw, the risk of entering a relationship for the wrong reasons is high. Many people unknowingly seek a partner not because they're truly ready, but because they are trying to replace what was lost, avoid loneliness, or escape the pain. These relationships often begin with strong emotions but lack the foundation needed for long-term success. Consider 72-year-old Barbara. Just months after losing her husband of nearly 50 years, she met someone through a friend and quickly entered a relationship. At first, it seemed like exactly what she needed: someone to talk to, share meals with, and distract her from the overwhelming loneliness. But as time passed, she realized she wasn't truly ready. The relationship moved faster than she expected, and soon she felt trapped in something that didn't feel right. Eventually, she had to step back and take time for herself. Looking back, she wished she had waited longer before making such a big decision. A new relationship should be about genuine connection, not just emotional relief. When someone has spent decades with a spouse, their habits, routines, and shared memories become deeply ingrained. Jumping into a new relationship too soon can lead to unfair comparisons, unrealistic expectations, and even feelings of guilt. Many widows and widowers struggle with conflicting emotions, wanting to move forward while feeling as though they are betraying their late spouse. These feelings are completely natural, but they need to be processed before starting something new. Another concern is vulnerability. Unfortunately, there are people who take advantage of those who are grieving, offering emotional support only to manipulate or exploit them, sometimes financially. Scammers and even well-meaning but opportunistic individuals often seek out widowed seniors, knowing they may be emotionally fragile and longing for companionship. That's why it's essential to trust your instincts and take your time. If someone pressures you to commit quickly, make financial decisions, or distance yourself from friends and family, these are major red flags. This doesn't mean avoiding love or companionship forever. Many widows and widowers do find meaningful relationships later in life, but the healthiest and most fulfilling ones happen when both individuals are truly ready, when the decision comes from a place of healing rather than desperation. Time and reflection are key. Taking the time to process grief, rediscover your personal identity, and find peace in being alone before seeking a new partner can make a world of difference. If you choose to date again, go at your own pace. Take the time to understand what you truly want in a relationship and make sure you're entering it for the right reasons. Talk with trusted friends or family about your feelings and don't feel pressured by anyone's opinions, whether they think it's too soon or that you shouldn't be alone. The decision is yours and yours alone. At the end of the day, grief and healing are deeply personal journeys. There's no rush, no deadline, and no rule book. The most important thing is to take care of yourself first so that, if and when the time comes, any new relationship you enter is built on a foundation of strength, peace, and true companionship. Number 5, holding on to every possession without letting go. One of the hardest parts of losing a spouse is deciding what to do with their belongings. Every item holds memories, and the thought of letting go can feel like losing them all over again. Many widows and widowers struggle with this, keeping every piece of clothing, every personal item, and every small possession exactly as it was, afraid that changing anything means erasing the life they shared. But while it's understandable to hold on, keeping everything indefinitely can sometimes make grief even heavier, preventing emotional healing and making it harder to move forward. Holding on to sentimental items is completely natural. There's no rule that says you have to get rid of everything, but when an entire home remains untouched for years, when a closet stays exactly as it was, or when no changes are made, a house can turn into a shrine of grief rather than a place of comfort. Over time, instead of bringing peace, these untouched spaces can serve as a daily reminder of what has been lost, making it more difficult to adjust to a new chapter of life. Take the case of 76-year-old Harold. After his wife of 55 years passed away, he left everything exactly as she had. Her shoes by the door, her clothes in the closet, and her favorite chair untouched. At first, this felt like a way to keep her close. But as the months went on, he realized that walking past her belongings every day was keeping him emotionally stuck. He wasn't ready to get rid of everything, but when he slowly started donating some items, keeping only a few meaningful ones, he felt a sense of relief. It wasn't about forgetting. It was about making space for healing. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or loving less. It means allowing yourself room to breathe. Instead of forcing sudden changes, start small. Choose a few meaningful keepsakes, a piece of jewelry, a handwritten note, a favorite photo, and create a special place for them. Then, when you feel ready, begin sorting through other belongings, deciding what truly holds meaning, and what is simply taking up space. Another mistake people make is feeling pressured by others to clear things out before they're ready. Friends or family members may mean well when they suggest letting go of things or moving on, but this decision should always be made on your own timeline. If you're not ready, don't rush. At the same time, be mindful that holding on to everything out of guilt or fear may be keeping you in a place of sadness longer than necessary. There is also an emotional balance in repurposing rather than just removing. Some people find comfort in turning an old shirt into a quilt, transforming a collection of letters into a memory book, or passing down sentimental items to loved ones who will cherish them. This way, their presence remains, but in a way that brings warmth rather than just sorrow. Ultimately, grief is not about objects. It's about love, memories, and the bond you shared. No possession can replace a person, but holding on to everything they owned won't bring them back either. Letting go in small, thoughtful ways is not an act of forgetting. It's a step toward honoring their memory, while also making space for your own healing. Moving forward doesn't mean leaving them behind. It simply means carrying them with you in a way that allows both love and life to coexist. Final thoughts. Losing a spouse is one of life's most profound and painful experiences. It changes everything, the way you live, the way you think, and even how you see the future. But in the midst of grief, every choice you make has the power to either support or slow down your healing. That's why avoiding these 5 common mistakes, making rushed financial decisions, isolating yourself, neglecting your health, entering a new relationship too soon, and holding on to everything without allowing for change can make a real difference in how you move forward with strength and clarity. Grief doesn't follow a schedule, and there's no right or wrong way to navigate it. But one thing is certain, being mindful of these challenges can help you face this chapter of life in a way that protects both your heart and your future. Healing doesn't mean forgetting, and moving forward doesn't mean leaving your spouse behind. It means honoring their memory in a way that allows you to continue living with purpose, peace, and even moments of joy. What resonated with you the most? Which of these insights do you feel is the most important for your journey? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and share one takeaway from today's video and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your voice matters, and we truly appreciate your feedback. Reading your comments inspires and motivates us to continue creating meaningful content. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. It helps us reach more people who may need this support. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.